Flying FPV drones is one of the most thrilling hobbies out there, and in 2025, starting from scratch is easier than ever. As a beginner, there's really two ways I would suggest actually starting FPV. One, the Avata route, and two, the 5-inch drone route. Let's get into it. Firstly, the easiest way to begin is the DJI Avata 2. If you want a hassle-free introduction to FPV, start with the DJI Avata 2 and the DJI Controller 2 or 3. In general, I would recommend just buying the latest DJI equipment because it will have more software updates, and maybe in the future if you want to upgrade, you won't get left behind. This setup is perfect for beginners because it takes care of most of the heavy lifting. The only skill you need to master is learning to fly in a simulator. The rest, absolutely handled. It is a dream. But yes, the Avata has limitations. It's small, it struggles in wind, which can be a bit of a deal breaker. Sometimes I can't fly the way I want. For some context, it's definitely worse than the Mini 4 Pro when it comes to wind performance. It's also not ideal for aggressive freestyle flying, or any freestyle to be honest. And to top it all off, if you're going top speed and you turn too suddenly, the drone will literally tumble and you could potentially lose it. But it's not all doom and gloom. For most people, it is the best way to get started without a mountain of headaches. Now, if you want the full unrestricted FPV experience where you have complete control and there's endless possibilities, you'll need to go to the 5-inch drone. Don't worry, I'll guide you through that too, but whatever you do, first thing I would recommend buying is a DJI Controller 2 or 3, probably the newest one like I said before. This can be used with 5-inch drones and the DJI Avata, so it's a worthy investment. So after you have bought the controller, you need to start with the simulator. Most options are honestly fine. Liftoff is fairly cheap and is what I used to learn, but there are plenty of other capable options too. All you need to do is plug in your DJI controller and practice for at least 20 hours, and your goal should be able to finish a race with small gates without a single crash. If you're crashing along the way, it doesn't count. This precision will pay off and save you tons of money when it comes to flying your actual drone for the first time. So now if you've chosen the Avata and you want an easygoing FPV drone learning process, then go ahead and buy the Avata 2 combo. This comes with the DJI Goggles 3 and the motion controller, which is pointless, but if you try and buy things separately like the drone itself and then the goggles itself, it gets to a very similar price anyway. Check what deals you have. And after that, congratulations, once you're confident in the simulator, you're literally ready to fly. That's it, end of the video, we're done. The Avata is intuitive, so you can focus on capturing stunning cinematic shots with minimal effort. Charging batteries is also super easy, and although I mentioned many shortcomings of the Avata 2, all these clips I've shown while I have been chatting away are all filmed with the DJI Avata, and they're no joke. They're cooler than normal drones, and you can get some amazing shots with the DJI Avata, which is what I've been using a lot on my travels anyway. For those who want to go fully manual with a 5-inch, this is where the real pain begins. But while you're here, let me teach you how to do this cool paper effect. All I did was go to Motion Array, download this DaVinci Resolve macro, and all you do is drag and drop to different effects or images and you'll get this crumble effect. It literally takes me seconds, and I highly recommend using Motion Array. I use this in so many of my own personal projects, client work, using the AI voiceover, using different video graphics, using even stock footage. In my past videos, I've sprinkled some in. I hope no one really noticed. If you want to save yourself a ton of time, check out my link below. You'll get 2 free months of Motion Array. And in addition, you get sound effects, which is so important as an FPV pilot. If you really want to take your cinematic FPV seriously, make sure you have some sound design. There's a ton of new things coming in 2025 as well. So let's backtrack. Let's say you bought the controller, which is what I mentioned before. You're going to need DJI Goggles 3, 1400 milliamp hour LiPo batteries, a charger, a fire-safe ammo box, a prop tool, spare props, a soldering iron if you crash, a ton more stuff if you actually crash and break your drone, and finally an FPV drone. That's what I mean about a bit more complex. But firstly, the goggles, you can go for a cheaper alternative if you really like, such as the N3 goggles or the Integra. But if you can afford it, the Goggles 3 is a nicer experience and it's more compact as well. Now, picking a 5-inch drone can be controversial, but I'm recommending the brand new CineFlow 5. It's a new drone, and in short, it's built for smooth cinematic flying. And it's even rated for longer hover times. I do definitely feel like it flies a bit longer, but it isn't crazy night and day. I would have previously recommended the Nazgul Evoke version 2, which is an incredible drone too, but these side plates make maintenance so annoying, with the amount of screws you need to remove just to try and make any changes. But on the CineFlow 5, they just pop off, and that is super convenient. The CineFlow also comes with a GPS, which is nice, and the iFlight GPS is really high quality, connects to the satellites really quickly. Also, it's quite nice to have because when you are flying cinematic, you might actually have troubles finding your way back to where you started from, which could mean you lose your drone. The flying is definitely nice and smooth, and out of the box, it's really tailored to get those long, slow shots of flying cinematic FPV. If you are on a tight budget, get the Nazgul DC5 Eco version, which is basically the stripped down Nazgul with an 04 air unit. But just know from now on, I'm flying the Cine Flow 5 because I just think it is the best drone I currently have. You can't go wrong with any of these options, but obviously some more money does make the flying experience just a tiny bit better. It's up to you what your wallet can handle. Now, once you have everything ready to go, there are some intricacies to set everything up. I've discussed everything in detail here, but I'm going to give you a rapid rundown. Make sure you charge your LiPos at a capacity divided by 100. So if your battery is 1400 milliamp hours, charge at 1.4 amps and everything will be all good, no battery explosions. If you aren't using your batteries, keep them at 3.8 volts, which is storage voltage. When you first fly your 04 air unit's drone, you have to activate it. You do this by powering on your drone, then connecting it to your computer, and also make sure you install DJI Assistant Consumer 2. This is what's going to activate your air unit. Then you actually need to bind your controller and your goggles and your drone all together, and all you do is, iFlights are very helpful with this. It says bind, there's a little small hole, you get a little pokey thing, poke that, click it, and then on your goggles there's a power button, double tap and hold, and it'll start blinking and go beep 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 beep. Everything will bind, similar to your controller. Then you need to download Betaflight on your computer, and you plug your flight controller using a USB-C cord to connect it. You should then power everything on and set a button on your controller to arm the drone. Because out of the box, iFlight knows you're a noob, so they won't actually let you fly in full acro or manual mode. Now you are finally ready to fly, which is why if you're a beginner, just get the Avata 2. And it'll save you so many headaches. Again, more details in this video here. So I have recommended everyone the DJI controller because it connects automatically, and the range is amazing these days, so there's really no risk of anything cutting out. But other pilots might prefer options like the Commando 8 ELRS or the Jumper T Pro 2. It's easier to fly at times with larger gimbals, or basically the sticks you have, but also you get better peace of mind because ELRS, which is a radio technology, has huge range, so your controller will virtually never disconnect. Unfortunately, this requires some slightly more annoying setup, but it's worth it to many. I would just go with the normal controller. Now lastly, if you are on a tight budget and you don't care about what you see in the goggles when you're actually flying, analog FPV is an option. This option is really only for people who just want to do fun flips and tricks. You can kind of see what you're doing when you're flying. It's really blurry, not super pleasant, and if you really want cinematic FPV, you could just attach a camera onto the drone, even though you can't see very well. That's being said, for many pilots, and including me, actually seeing where you are clearly and taking the scenery in is half of what flying FPV is. So I would really stick to the 04 air unit. The 03 air unit has amazing video feed too, but the actual recording video quality isn't as good, maybe 20% worse. It's not far off, but you can save some money with that system if you don't care about the best video quality possible. And that's how you start flying FPV drones in 2025. The time of using an action camera, which is a $500 liability, is over. I know some might judge me for recommending pretty pricey setups, but this hobby isn't cheap no matter how you approach it. At the end of the day, time is money, and a friction-free experience makes flying way more enjoyable in my opinion. And like I tried to mention, going for analog FPV, you're still going to spend hundreds of dollars. It's not like you're going from $1,000 to $50. It's going to be like $1,000 to like maybe $500. So at the end of the day, that's up to you. I'll try to get to anyone in the comments who needs help. Now get out there and start flying.